Hello everyone, hope you are all doing well. In this podcast, we are meeting Mr. Vikram Mittal. Vikram was born in a Marwadi family. He studied in 4 different schools in 2 different cities because his father was in a traveling job. He was above average academically and in extracurricular activities. His purpose was to serve the armed forces and wear a uniform. When that did not happen, he got the next best thing, which was the Merchant Navy. He was part of the first dual stream cadet batch, which was sponsored by the Maersk and its campus in the Amet, Chennai. And his career in the Merchant Navy started. In this interesting podcast, he shares his deep love for the sea, his plunge into the entrepreneurship journey, his mistakes, and the reasons of why he wanted to pitch to the sharks in the TV series Shark Tank. This podcast gives an opportunity to get into Vikram's thought process and also many advices for the seafarers who are looking to come ashore and also for the seafarers to be. Thank you so much for being with me on this journey. Let's go into the podcast. Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well today. In this series of inspiring journeys, today we have with us one more seafarer who is making a mark for himself in the entrepreneurship world. And I'll also pitch this idea to the shark. Yes, we are meeting none other than Mr. Vikram Mittal today, who has ventured into creating a unique drink brand called the Mavis. Come, let's talk to him about his journey. Good morning, Vikram. Welcome to the Maritime platform.com, and we are happy to have you here and very excited to learn from your inspirational journey till now. So
thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much for having me here. I think it's amazing that these days you can reach out to a wider audience, and also to through YouTube you can inspire people to do something. I think that's an amazing thing to do too, and it's nice to be able to tell your story and tell people that there will be hardships, but that's all what you live for. Otherwise, it's no fun.
But by any chance, are you related to Anupam Mittal or Lakshmi Mittal or somebody?
Unfortunately, not. If that was the case, if that was the case, I probably would be the shark. The tables would have the other way around. The tables would have turned. But unfortunately not.
So this business is there in your blood, or how is it? Because Marwadis are already known to be, you are having somebody in your generation as well, or how did that come into your?
I don't like my dad is in pharma industry. He was a service person. Okay. And my mom's a lawyer, but she was a housewife. She never sort of really practiced since she got married. She never practiced. My grandfather was a station master, station superintendent. My Nanaji was an ICWAI, and my uncle is an engineer. The aunts are doctors. So I don't think in really close family, we don't have businessmen. All my cousins are all my cousins from the maternal side are really, really smart, and they're in the US and they're doing engineering, and they're from IITs and IIMs and all of that. No businessmen as such. No one noteworthy, or I'm sure there's some people there here and there, but nothing that would inspire me to become a businessman, that I want to be like him.
Yeah, okay.
That was never the intention at any point.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning and find out what inspired you. Tell me something about your school days, passing out and joining the Merchant Navy. How was your school days like? You are a bright student, right?
I would like to believe, and I would like to be okay. I guess now it's been a long time. I think I was a good student. I was straight A's mostly, and I was very good at extracurricular activities, whether it was sports, whether it was drama, dance, whatever. I was outgoing. I was an extrovert. So that ways, and I was always fascinated by Navy as such. I remember, I think the first brush off was on TV with Samandar being one of the earlier serials that we used to watch on TV. Okay. And then there was Seacoast, Seahawk. And then there were a couple of others about the defense and 4G with Shah Rukh Khan and everything. So they were really interesting. And, you see how much, how people behaved when they were in uniforms, and that was always a thing. And that was my only goal when I was growing up. I did not want to be an IITian, or I did not want to go to IIM. I did not want to be an entrepreneur. All I wanted was to wear a uniform, is all that I ever thought of. Like, there was no plan B. That was the plan A, B, C. So in 2014, I passed out from Jaipur, St. Anselm School, Jaipur. Before that, I was in Delhi for a couple of years. So So I've been to a few schools. After I finished my school, I had already filled in the application for SSB for Indian Navy. So I got selected. I was at 17 SSB in Bangalore. I had a sixth finger, like Hrithik Roshan has a sixth finger, a similar one. I had a similar one, and for like good 18 years of my life, there was not a problem. But when I went for SSB, I cleared all my returns and everything, and only in the medical fitness, I had an extra thumb, and they gave me like 1.5 kg overweight, which was nothing, like which was a very solvable problem. Yeah, that was some of the things, and then I got my thumb operated, and I couldn't get into because I did my re-medical test and everything, but apparently it sort of didn't work out. They said the grip was not enough, and I couldn't. But then my dad said, okay, whatever, like you can try for IIT next year. This year you did not give your exams because of the whole thumb thing and everything. Don't worry about it, give it next year. While I was doing that, I finished my 1 year of college in Bangalore. While I was preparing for IIT, my dad saw an ad in the newspaper which said Maersk had an opening for dual cadet. And my dad is a very thorough reader of newspapers. I would have probably never seen the ad. So he saw it and he said, hey Vikram, you wanted to go in Navy, right? This is coming up and this company is offering this. And I have heard this company is really good. Why don't you try? I told my dad, I said, Papa, I've already gone through one Navy medical fitness test and had my heart broken. I don't want to do this whole thing again. It's just, setting yourself up for failure. And he said, anyways, you're doing a lot of things. You're trying your IIT. Why don't you go for this exam? If you clear it, it's okay. If you don't clear it, what's the harm? And I promise you that, and I want you to give IIT exam as well this year. And I said, Papa, I don't want to give IIT. He said, just do this. If you clear, it's okay. Otherwise, I will never ask you to choose a path that you do not want to follow in terms of your career. Very specifically in your career.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Indian parents. So I said fine. I said fine. Let's see. Okay, fine. I said let's do it. Back of my head, I wanted to be a chef. So I had already, because my Navy thing didn't work out, plan B was chef. So my dad said nobody becomes a chef. You have to please complete your graduation. You want to become a waiter or what? And he used to stay in all 5-star hotels, and he's like, I have seen enough people who do IHM and all of this, and they are waiters in most of these hotels. No respect, nothing. You finish your graduation if you want to do this. So I had already prepared that I want to be a chef, so I'm going to finish my graduation and do this. So the whole merchant Navy thing came up. I went for the exam, and I had no clue what I was going for. I just went in like I was going in for like any other like meeting, interview, whatever. I just walked in, and they had some exams, of course, LIPI and all of that. I finished that, and turns out Maersk was offering full 100% scholarship. I got selected. Okay. I got selected in the first dual cadet program for India, in India by Maersk, and the whole batch was, we had 120 odd people. We were selected by Maersk. And then we had another 100 people who got selected later on, because there were about 223 people in my batch to begin with, to start with, when we started. So this first 120 people were Danish fleet, and the rest was assigned to Singapore fleet in Maersk. And that was it. So I came back, and I was really worried about my whole medical test, but they didn't really care about the medical fitness like the way they cared in the army or the Navy. And I just sailed through like, well, everything is fine. You are fit. Your weight is perfect. Whatever, all of these normal parameters are okay. Eyesight perfect, whatever, and you're good to go. And I was like, great. And then so I had already finished 1 year in college. Then then I joined AMIT, Academy of Maritime Education and Training in Chennai, a big campus. First time I was living away from home. My roommate was also from Jaipur at that time, but it was a wonderful experience. That was from when I passed from my schooling days to there, and then college was fantastic. Of course, college days are the best days, because you're grown up enough, you're a little bit independent. You can remember things like when you're back in school, like maybe you're in first, second standard, third standard, you can't remember a lot of things, right? But in college, you can remember things. You also have a little bit of, you're grown up, so you can do things a little more on your own. Correct. So it was a wonderful experience. And, just getting one shore leave every 7 days for like 12 hours, that's like that used to be like the high point. And, all of those things. We're in the uniform, so we definitely loved the uniform. It was really cool. Finally, I was wearing the uniform that I wanted, white. That was what I wanted. And so 4 years, and then Maersk had this program where in the first year we were in college, and the next 6 months, the third semester was at sea, and then the next 3 semesters were on land again, and the final year was again on the ship, and we were doing BSc Nautical Sciences plus BE Marine Engineering together.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So it was a tough gig, but I'm a hard nut to crack, anyways. So I mean, most of my batchmates, I think they're all very smart. They're all very hardworking, and today a lot of them are doing wonderfully well. Some are harbor masters, some are port masters, some are pilots, some are this, some are captains, some are surveyors and technical superintendents and whatnot. My batchmates are all over, so a really smart bunch of people, and we spent a lot of good time in college. We learned a lot. Living on your own, of course, and it is different from regular colleges where you can live outside and your parents can visit you whenever they want, and you can go home and live it, and I still remember my first ever time that I flew to join the ship. It's so vivid in my memories how I flew to UK, and then we took a cab, and we don't know, like, it's like it's the first time, like, somebody else is paying for your travel. It's like never happened. Like, your father pays for it, right? But like, your father's not here and somebody else is paying, and you're very far away from home. There is no phone, there is nothing. And so we flew to UK. We were waiting in the Siemens Church, Southampton. I joined the ship. There were a lot of Indians there. The third engineer and the 2 third engineers were joining with me. Nishant Dhani. He's in a very senior position now. In another company, and there was Navroj. They both joined us. Me and my classmate were there, both of us, and there were another 6-7 Indians on board. So there were like a lot of Indians on that ship. I remember my first shore leave. How we went to Italy. It's a small place called Jotaro, and I remember eating my first ever proper Italian pizza there. But we did not know how to order a pizza. Like, now, if I think of it, I did not know how to order a pizza, and we ended up ordering something with so many leaves on it that it was almost inedible for Indian palate. So I remember that, and I remember getting chased by some Italian youngsters on a bike. We were like, I was like, whatever, 20, but in a new place, you don't know, and you're just like walking around. So yeah, all these exciting things, and meeting your shipmates, living with the same people, 20 people on the ship, day in, day out. The first time the ship starts rolling and you don't know what's happening. Is it you or is it something outside? Or is everybody feeling like that? Is it going to be this way every time the ship rolls? All of these things, I still remember how we felt.
Beautiful.
And everybody laughs at you. I remember after the first month on the ship, the second engineer said, "So I'm going to sell you. You have to contribute towards your electricity bill.
That's a very common thing.
And all the Coke that you've been drinking, all the Coca-Cola that you have been drinking, you have to pay for it." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I had like 2 cans in the whole month." And then it was like, "Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you take, you have to pay." And electricity, I said, there is no electricity bill. How do you know? Like, I know, everything is in the computer. It comes like who's using how much electricity and all of that. And I'm like, I'm only a cadet. I have no money. How do I pay all of these things? Again, if I pay all of these things, where do I save my money to sort of, go out on a shore leave or go out and go home and have anything on my own? This is not going to work.
So and what how was your training like? You were in dual training. So how was your training like? Half time on the deck and half time on
Yes. So we did. So the different models followed on different ships, but the most common one was like, say, a cadet was on the ship for about 5 to 6 months.
Okay.
So what they would do is like they would put you 2 months on the deck, and then they would put you 2 months in the engine, and then for the next 2 months it was a 6 months, 5.5, 6 months thing. So they would probably divide your time almost equally among the 2 places and give you enough time so that like 1 week is not enough to like just get in and learn thing, understand. So they would give you like one entire 2-month contract with an officer who has joined, a third officer or third officer or second officer, and with a third engineer or fourth engineer they will put you with someone to follow and whatever. Engine rooms are little different. Engine room is I think engine rooms are, no offense to deck people, and because I've been a dual cadet myself, but I think engineers are more of a team when it comes to work than the deck officers, because deck officers like split like into shifts and whatever, and nobody sort of really overlaps and does things together.
True.
But in engine room, everyone sort of works together for almost like all big work that you have, like piston removal or something. You'll have multiple people, and everybody gets to work with different people. So like today I'm working with a third engineer, tomorrow I might be working with the second engineer, or tomorrow the next day with the fourth engineer, or even the chief engineer for that matter. So the learning happens very differently in an engine room than compared to on deck. Personally, I'm somebody who likes to get their hands dirty and be busy, as my wife would call it now. You like to be busy. So if I like to be busy, I think engine room is the place where I sort of had more fun, honestly. There was always something to do. I didn't mind putting long hours in work. As cadets, we worked from like 6 to 8 at times, and there were also times when we worked hard and we partied hard. That was definitely there. As cadets, we would, there was always, we were always laughing. The breaks were always, as engineers, the breaks was so much fun. Like all the engineers would sit together and keep, talking about this, that, everything, chit chat. And, they will keep pulling the cadets' legs, like always. That's usually the thing. And, there would be jokes. And it was all in good fun. That is
when you get that chance to choose a stream, deck or engine? So, how did you go about?
Actually, the idea was that we would be sailing as dual officers. So when you join the ship, you do one watch and you do one shift in the engine room. Let's say 6 hours in the engine room and like 4 hours on the deck. And that was something. The old traditional system is so well set that to create a new system, it is very difficult. So there was only a few ships in the entire Maersk fleet that were actually operating with dual officers. But honestly, having worked in both the sections, I have a very, very dear friend who is a deck officer, and he's a chief officer and a second engineer. And he's extremely smart, extremely hardworking, very nice guy. And he left the company after a while because he wanted to pursue the dual thing. And he left it. He went to DP and everything, dynamic positioning and all of that, anchor handling. And now he's a good Jew. So he started trading. He's into ship chartering and stuff like that, ship brokerage and all of that. So the idea was that we sail as both. But once the 4 years were completed, it wasn't looking very feasible. And also the government of India, the MMD wasn't ready to give them one single exam for both the competencies. So I had to take an exam for third officer and exam for fourth engineer together, separately. And that took me almost double the time to prepare and to do my exams. So financially it didn't make sense from one point if you look at it. True. And also it did not make sense because there were only so many dual officers around. And by then, if you wanted to change a company, so no other company, Hamburg Sud was probably offering something like that. But like most companies in the world were not offering a dual. So it would have been a very difficult position to be in, wherein like you're overqualified for all the jobs and maybe not experienced enough. You're very qualified, you're smart, you've done both the competencies, you understand the ins and out of the business. But like you don't really have that much time spent, like flying hours when you're talking about pilots. You don't have that much time spent in the engine room. I like to see things through is what I would, is what I believe. So I think, so that was, so when company offered that, sometime during the college, I can't remember when, but they had offered us that, they had a survey form or something, like if you were to choose a side, which side would you go on? I think it was after the first ship, like after the first cadetship. And I think I remember saying an engineer, because like I was saying, I had so much fun with engineers on my first ship, or probably did not as much fun on deck as I had an engine. That I thought it would be only fair if to fair for myself that I chose to be an engineer. It just sort of felt like the things I wanted to do, like work on things, do things, get my hands dirty, troubleshooting, have that analytical thinking, be rational about
good
things.
Thing, at least for selection, at least you have gone through that and you can see where you enjoy. Like if you're only a deck side, you don't see that engine part itself. If you're a proper engineer, you don't see the deck side. So this is actually in a good way that you actually understand what you actually like and then take it again.
And I think that's something that I think वो तो जैसा होना होता है वैसा होता है. It's के सरा. But I think I think Maersk that way is an amazing company to have to be. I'm lucky that out of so many cadets who get out and who start sailing, I was lucky enough to be selected by a company like Maersk, and to be honed and trained, and to be given a chance to learn under with a culture that Maersk has or had. True. I'm not sure how it is because things change, but definitely Maersk is one of the best companies that I've worked with so far, and very people centric, very employee centric, and even today, even after everything, all my friends are sailing. A lot of my friends are sailing with Maersk, of course, and I still think that I've worked with Chelaram, I've worked with Anglo-Indian, Anglo-Eastern, so I've worked with these companies as well.
I wanted to come to that also. What made you change companies? What are the reasons why you had to leave Maersk and then join?
So I to be honest, I think there is a bit of racism involved at times, and it is not the company. The company is very strict on racism, but the company also has about 10,000, 20,000 employees. You can't control everyone. Sometimes you just rub off people, and you touch people in a different way that you probably intend to. The promotions were kind of slow compared to the rest of the industry in Maersk. And I don't know if it happens in a lot of ownership companies that the promotions are slower because they take their own sweet time.
In oil majors, yes, it does happen. The promotion tends to be slow because people don't leave, so they don't have slots coming up. So obviously you have to get stuck.
Love Maersk. I still feel very good and nostalgic when I see a blue star somewhere on a container or a truck, and my parents and my family and my wife would say, "Hey, look at a Maersk container." They know this. I feel connected. It's just that I think things could have been handled a different way by the HR and stuff. Also, I think mentoring is something which is really important. I could never have a mentor. I did not have a mentor, I would say. When you fuck up, when you screw up in your life, you think that that's the end of the world. Right?
Correct.
But that's not true, because somebody else is doing worse than you are, probably.
Yeah, so I think we will come back to that. This is a very important thing. What we actually, this conversation is about. When you actually are down and how you get up from there. So that's a very important thing which we will come back to. Now coming back to your career, shifting ashore. What got you? I saw your profile and I see you are an avid traveler and. You love cooking. How did this Mavi come about? What was the trigger that you thought, "Okay, sailing is enough. I will have to shift ashore," or was this a transition slowly, or it was a one-day decision?
No, I think it was. If I did not leave Maersk in 2016, I left Maersk and I joined Anglo because they promised me that they would promote me. I had gotten married in 2015.
Okay.
And honestly, as a third engineer, the bed is not big enough for my wife and me to all sleep together on the ship. So I was definitely looking to get promoted so that I could have I could take my wife on the ship, whenever possible. And that's where I was really looking for a promotion. It was not happening. So I had no choice, but when I went to Anglo, they offered me a promotion and I went to Anglo, and I got my wife on board, and I had the best ship one could ask for as a first time second engineer. The best thing I could ever ask was this particular ship. And I had a ball of a time. It was fun, and I don't think I would have left sailing as such. But I was looking for a shorter contract still. That's how I went to Chelaram. So I was in Chelaram for that was a bulk carrier, and then I came home and I was doing my 2018. I was doing a chief engineer's course. I wanted to give I had finished my sailing time, so I wanted to do my chief engineer's ticket so that as the time comes, you want to be ready. Right? And chief engineer exam, all these exams take a little while. So, I thought I'll do this. If I don't clear, I'll go sailing, come back, whatever. So while I was in Bombay preparing for this, we started doing this whole kombucha thing. Because I have traveled a lot. So we sort of were making kombucha at home. It's a fermented tea.
Yeah.
So when we were doing this whole fermented thing that we had discovered in the US while me and my wife were there for a vacation, and we just started making it for ourselves.
When was this vacation? US vacation?
So we went to in 2017 after I got promoted to second engineer. Okay. I had promised my wife that we would go for a long vacation after our marriage, but we never got a chance. You know, as a sailor, you get so much off time and you have the money, so why not do like a good vacation?
True.
So thinking that, I promised her. So in 2017, we got a US visa and we went to US. So it was about 1.5 months of vacation that we were in US. Okay. And we were staying with some friends in Asheville, California, in North Carolina. Okay. And there, I like to have a beer or two every now and then. And that place is famous for its craft brewery and the beer. Okay. So we would drink that. And my wife, she does not like drinking as much. And so she said, I don't want to drink this, but you guys are having fun, and I don't have anything to drink, and I don't want to drink a juice or a Pepsi or whatever. Yeah. So my friend said, okay, why don't you drink this kombucha? And she said, I don't know what that is. And they said, try. She liked it. She tried. She liked it. It was a fermented tea, which is all natural and non-alcoholic and very good for digestion and all of that. Okay. But at that point, that was not the focus. It was just about having something which was better than all of these other things. So we had it, and then we got some back home, and my wife really liked it. So in order to keep my wife happy, I started making it for herself, and that's how we started. In 2018, then I went back sailing, and I came back to Bombay in 2018, and I was doing this exam, and again we started making this for ourselves at home. And our friends were here, and we would give it to our friends as well to drink. And they liked it as well. I said, this is fun, this is different. Why don't you sell it? I'm like, yeah, but in my head, I was going to go back sailing in about 3 months, 4 months. Yeah. And life was better that way and whatever. Yeah. And but we were there giving exams. We had some off time, on weekends where there was nothing happening on the weekend. So we thought, okay, let's make something and let's sell it in the farmer's market in Bombay. That was, so I came to here, and I was doing my course for 2 months. And then in March, while I was wait market in Powai in Bombay, we did our first market, and I remember we had those bira bottles. We got them from our in a bar nearby, in a cafe nearby. We used to get these bira bottles. So I asked them for their empty bottles. Me and my wife, we cleaned all the bottles. We got some bira bottles basically from a bar nearby, and me and my wife, we cleaned them, and we only had some 7-8 liters of kombucha. So we made we had a couple of flavors that we were doing. We made all those bottles. We got a capping machine to put the cap on the beer bottles, and that's how we took it to the market. And people really liked it because it was so different. A lot of people had never tried it before, so they really liked it. And we were sold out.
How are you selling it? You are giving them samples for testing, and then
so we give them. So yeah, it was a farmers market setup. People come, they ask you what it is, and so we gave them a little sample, and they said, oh, this is cool, I can take 2 bottles, 3 bottles, whatever. And in about 2 hours or so, 1.5, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, we sold our 40-50 bottles, and we made around $4,000-5,000. I'm like, yeah, this is fun. This is something we do just for fun, and we go out there of the stuff that we have spare, and we sell it, and we make some money. We can easily go watch a movie, have a nice dinner with all of this, and the fun of meeting people. More than anything, it was something to look forward to on a Sunday instead of just doing nothing and whatever. Correct. And it was different. So that's how we started. And
how did you go about costing it, and how did you decide? What was the
So nothing. So we did not have any idea. Before going to the farmers market, of course, we had to ask somebody if he can join the market and whatever. So we went to another market. There was somebody selling something similar, and but they were also very small at that point. And we saw their pricing, and we looked at our pricing, and then we said, okay, if they are pricing it like that, let's price it around that point. If they are selling it at 400 rupees a liter, and we are selling 300 ml bottles. Let's sell it at whatever, a proportional price of that. So say $120 for a 300 ml or something like that. Let's do that. Okay. So that's how we just priced it. We really did not understand pricing and costing and all of that. Especially when you're doing it from home, you can't really calculate your costing.
Exactly.
Because the costing comes in when you are actually out in the market, when you have a unit facility, you have workers you are working with, you have to put an equipment that you need to work with. Right now, there was no equipment.
Correct.
There was hardly any equipment. And we didn't even know. It's like, as a sailor, I had no idea how all this business things work. Of course, I studied budgeting and everything and costing and everything in my chief engineer's exam class. If you take that knowledge and you think you can do business with that knowledge, you will be doomed. That does not how it works. So in books, they will say you give somebody a 30-day credit period. If they do not pay, you go to the court, you file a case, then the insurance company will take over. They will do this. Letter of guarantee, letter of credit, letter of guarantee, letter of credit, this bank, that bank, your bank, my bank. Nothing, sir. You are selling, you sell. If you want to get paid, you take money. If you give credit, then you wait for your money to come back. There are vendors today who owe me tens of thousands of rupees and who haven't paid in 6 months.
Yeah.
Now, no insurance class, no business class will teach you how to deal with it.
Exactly.
You have to learn yourself how to deal with it. There is no way. It's a judgment call every day. Should I send him the stuff? Should I ask for money first? Then like, अरे पैसे कहाँ जा रहे हैं आपके यार? हम दे देंगे ना यार, आपको मना हम कहीं जा रहे हैं क्या यार? अच्छा मत दो सामान. अब now you're stuck. Whether you give them credit or you don't give them credit. So yeah, that was basically like the journey of how this whole thing started.
So it actually is a learning every day, So you don't profess that somebody coming ashore as a seafarer, they should go for studying MBA or this before starting something on their own, or you should right away start and you learn as you do. What is your suggestion if there is somebody watching who wants to come ashore now? So what is your suggestion? Like they should be coming ashore and doing some MBA or some course and then before starting their something.
So to answer your question, I think people who are coming ashore, now I've firmly started after 4 years of this whole thing. I've started believing things will happen as they will happen. You really can't control anything. And I may be superstitious. I may believe in occult sciences, a lot of these things, but experience wise, I feel if you are ready, if you don't. So somebody told me when I was a cadet, one of my mentors or one of my second engineers, he told me, Vikram, if you don't leave sailing in 10 years, you probably never will. Yes, and I left it in about 8 years. Like I said, if I had stayed with Maersk for another few years and I had become second engineer and then probably on my line to chief engineer, the life would have been so comfortable that I would have never given it up for this. Given a chance, if I had to live this life again, would I do this again? Probably, yes. Because the kind of thrill, the kind of excitement, the kind of feeling good that comes with your own business, with your own startup or with your own enterprise, it's amazing. It's nothing else will compare to this. If somebody wants to come ashore and they want to do MBA, that's great. It's a good start. They can sort of join maybe a company, work there and eventually have a startup. Like startup, yes, it's a very popular word these days. Yeah. But startup is something that is just startup. Like it's just something that you're doing something new and fresh, right? I wouldn't call like somebody who's selling garments, I wouldn't call it a startup because the market is already set. People have been selling garments for forever. People have been buying garments forever. So there is no way you can say that this is a startup. A startup is something when you are doing something different, something that has never been done before, or something that is very rare to see around you. People are in startup phase, but they're not really startups when they don't have a roadmap to go with.
Yeah.
In the product that I has no history in Indian cuisine as such, and in the Indian market. So there is no roadmap for me. I have to create the roadmap myself as I go. Right?
Correct.
Of course, if I have money, that helps.
There is innovation right along, in case of the garment industry,
right.
There is no innovation.
That's the right word, innovation. So if your product has a little bit of innovation and whatever, then I think it's a startup. So people who want to come ashore should probably plan it a little better, because if you, like, so if say staying in Bombay, for example, it's an expensive affair.
Yeah.
The rents are expensive, the rents are huge. Then the distances are huge. So you spend a lot of time traveling, and also cost of traveling is very high. The cost of delivery is very high in say any service. that you're doing that involves traveling or sending goods, the cost of delivery is very high. And the market as such, because you're working in a market which is an urban tier 1 top city market, the people that you sell to also have higher costs in their own shop rent, hiring employees, and everything is expensive. So they would ask you for a higher margin every time, whatever
Correct.
you do,
Correct.
whether you are a
Correct.
service or you're a product.
Correct.
They will say, "Acha, like in Jaipur, I can do a 20% on my product, right?
Yeah.
But in Bombay, I cannot, 20% doesn't work, right? It has to be a little higher." So
Yeah.
that sort of changes, with places to places and how it is. Like,
Talking
of
about
course, my
expenses,
logistics.
so talking about expenses, how did you manage? You did not have that pre-plan of, I will sail for 8 years and then come ashore and start my startup or something like that. You just started, you liked it, you went to the farmers market and you just started. So how did you manage your finance? That's the biggest question any seafarer will have today, who wants to come ashore, how to do that.
So I think, earlier seafarers that I've met, my uncles, or like my friend's father and their uncles, and other people that I've met, the earlier thing used to be buy a piece of land, buy 2 pieces of land, buy 4 pieces of land,
Correct.
keep buying land as much as you can. Even if that meant you keep sailing till the age of 60, you would keep doing that, but you would keep asking for land and more land and more land, and maybe jewelry and land and some car and a nice house and more land. This is how it usually went.
Correct.
But like today's seafarers are smarter. There is a lot of options for investments. From the day one, land is definitely a good investment, but so is SIPs, so is share market. Like if you are available and if you have some trust, somebody who your broker is trusted and you can work with them, then there is gold. Then there are other different places where you can invest your money in, right? Earlier that was not the case. So now I did not know about investments, and I have some friends who have been investing from day one of their sailing career. Okay. So 2010 is when I started sailing as an officer, and they have been doing ever since. I only started in 2016. I finally sort of decided to start doing mutual fund, right? So I started investing in mutual fund. I had FDs before that. Okay. I had bought a very a plot or something, an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment we purchased somewhere in the outskirts. That was even before I had started sailing. It was something that we did. But like these things could have been done better. Yeah. And I could have spent more time researching, but our education system does not prepare us for the real world. Our education in 11th and 12th standard does not teach about investments. It talks about simple interest and compound interest.
True.
So you never learn that there are better ways of investing your money. Not even in college, people come and tell you that, people are selling their product, people are selling their brand, but nobody really teaches you how to manage your finances. That you should save at least 20% or 10%, put in SIP, put this, do that, give you some calculations. Nobody does that for us. And as seafarers, you are so disconnected from the world. Now it is better within the internet. Exactly. But like imagine 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I went on the first time on the ship 15 years ago, we would get news once a week. Correct. And most of the news was about India winning a cricket match or somebody drowning in the Ganga. Or maybe something that happened politically really huge. That's all about it.
Correct.
So there was no learning for us. True. And I think learning has changed now. So people should start investing anyways, whether or not you want to come home for sailing, come home from sailing. You simply have to start investing in one or the other way. Start saving a little, FDs, whatever, mutual funds, maybe some property if you can invest in and whatever. Save a little, live a little, but save a little. Because
how did you manage? You had
I did not, like 2016 is when I started investing. It wasn't really much, and I really didn't. I had some savings, of course, because I was sailing all the time and exams and this that. I never really spent, except for maybe going on this Europe trip or going on the US trip, or some of these vacations with friends and whatever. I never bought a car for that matter, because I never needed one. True. I never bought a house. I was living with my parents for the longest time. We have a house in Jaipur, so I didn't feel the need to do that. I don't believe in simply buying clothes and and expensive clothes and shoes. So that was something not what I did. What I enjoy was traveling, so I spent on traveling. I enjoyed good food, so I spent on food. I had good time with my friends, so I would spend money on that. And essentials, the daily life. People who end up with no money are usually people who spend on things they don't really need themselves, but for others.
Correct.
Right? Buying a freakishly expensive car which you're going to drive only 2 months a year because the rest of the time you're sailing or giving exams or whatever. So that usually happens. So that's not something that we did.
You were living a very simple life, so you had a lot of savings with you when you actually came.
Yeah, like we were going on foreign trips and all of that at that time, but I was sailing, so I was comfortable. I really didn't have to worry about what is what. And I wouldn't call it a simple life for sure. There was more to it. I'm sure a lot of people would not call it a simple life, that if you can go on vacations every now and then and whatever. But yeah, in general, I did not care so much about all of these other things, and hence, I was sailing as an officer, right? So that also makes it a little different. A lot of people who are crew, or I didn't have a family till I was 30. I was not married. Correct. So my expenses were very limited till then, right? Exactly. So if you are 26, 27, you're married, then you already have a baby, so expenses increase. Exactly. I didn't have those expenses as well, so that helped. And my wife, she was earning as well. So there was no financial constraint as such, and we lived in Jaipur, apna ghar. There was not a lot of expenses. Correct. My expenses really started when I shifted to Bombay.
Yeah.
Because now
we shifted 2018.
So 2018 January is when we came to Bombay for exams, and since then, the rent started. We had to get a new car because now we were two of us, and Bombay we had to travel a lot. We needed stuff for our this thing, so we had to buy another car. So that was an expense. And in general, Bombay life is expensive. Correct. Everything is more expensive. Then we started eating organic. Once we started doing the business, we also understood that organic food was so important that we do not get in the ship, and refined oil and all of these are harmful to us. So we changed our lifestyle as well. So ये थोड़े छोटे changes होते हैं जो आते गए. So lifestyle is expensive. So people need to keep that in mind that so I think अगर आपके पास इतना पैसा तो sailor आदमी के पास होना चाहिए, that if you are not working for a year or 2 years, you should not feel the pinch of it.
Yeah.
As a sailor, after having worked for 4, 5, 10 years, if you don't have enough money to support yourself for the next 2, 3, 5 years, what have you been doing is the question.
Exactly.
Because
so
the kind of
your benchmark is that you should have at least bank balance or liquid cash for at least 2 years to sustain you, so that then maybe you can come ashore and try.
Not liquid cash. What are you going to do with all the money that you save? Once you die, it's all done. Correct. So it's the money is you don't need 2 houses to live in. You can only live in one house at one time. True. Right?
True.
And if I'm living in Bombay, I can give my other house on rent.
Correct.
Say, if I really want to get my finances sorted, I can do that.
Correct.
Why do I need 3 cars in my house? Why do I need a fancy ass car which can run 300 kilometers an hour? Why do I need a car like that? I'm not flying a plane.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Why can't I plan things better? Why do I have to eat out every weekend? Why do I have to? Why do I have to drink every day? I don't have to. So these are the expenses that people think are necessary because they have to show. You don't have to show anyone. Nobody cares. Nobody remembers. Right? And you can never be rich enough, and you can never be poor enough.
Yeah, correct.
So this is not how it is. So people have to change their mentality. They have to be smart, and people are very smart these days. You need to invest in people. You need to invest in experiences. You need to spend on experiences. You need to spend on yourself and not on others.
Correct.
Like any day I would take, if I had the choice between going to a really nice gym or buying a really fancy pair of shoes, I would take 1 month gym membership over a really fancy pair of shoes, because this 1 month can change my life entirely.
Exactly.
I could transform myself. I could love myself more.
Yeah.
But this shoe I can't wear it every day. I can't wear it all the time 24/7. I can't take it anywhere. But this body I can take everywhere.
Exactly. Exactly.
So focus on yourself is what I would say.
Beautiful.
And if you want to do something in life, don't wait for all the green lights to go on at one time. If you want to do, if you want to start a business, start today.
Yeah.
Okay? Or at least plan today and start
Correct.
tomorrow.
Correct.
Don't plan tomorrow and then wait for the tomorrow after tomorrow to do something. If I had waited for my entire life. Okay, I wanted to. So I like baking. So I was planning to open a bakery. To do sourdough breads, because in 2016 there was no sourdough breads anywhere. Now it's a huge trend. Everybody is doing sourdough breads. There was nobody doing sourdough breads. I wanted to do that, but my friend talked me out of it. He's like, यार ये business क्या है, कितना बना लेगा, ये है वो है, बहुत फाइट है, लोगों को समझ में नहीं आता, 40 रुपए का ब्रेड है, तू 200 रुपए का ब्रेड देगा, कौन खरीदेगा? People don't understand all of these good concepts. टाइम लगता है, उतने टाइम सर्वाइव कैसे करेगा, बहुत झंझट है, और किसको बेचेगा, लोग लेने वाले नहीं है, ये है वो है, बहुत फाइट है.
So you listen to, you have to listen to yourself, your inner voice, and rather than,
there is a fine line between stupid and genius. Okay. So you have to remember, and you can be either. Like you can't be geniuses all the time. You will be stupid at times, right? But you walk the line and figure out. Listen to everyone, but करो, सुनो सबकी, करो अपनी. You have to listen, take their opinion. Like they have, so the person who's working in a pharma industry would tell you about pharma. Somebody who's in the F&B business would tell you about F&B business. The challenges that you face on every day, nobody could have warned me of those challenges.
Correct.
If I took a candle in the daytime to look for those problems, nobody would be able to tell me those problems.
Exactly.
Because that's not how it is. That's not how it works. तो वो सब challenges थे, तो मुझे कोई बता नहीं सकता था. तो मैं आपको बिजनेस शुरू करना है, करो, लेकिन रुक के सोच कर कि मैं कर क्या रहा हूं, है ना? Can this wait for another 6 months? Can I do another sailing and maybe save those 10 lakh rupees that I get out of the sailing, or 15 lakh rupees, and use that? Don't touch my savings. Correct. But let me do this one sailing and dedicate this 15 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees into my business.
Correct.
This is my input money.
Beautiful.
The day if I don't start making money by the time I have spent this money, or if I don't get more money from an outside source, not my savings, will I be doing that business? Right?
Correct.
Those are the things that you need to think about, which I did not know about, which I did not think about. Those are the things people can think about. यार ये कर सकते हैं, ऐसे कर सकते हैं, है ना? Don't rely on other people. That is my other advice. Don't rely on your silent partners back home to do the work for you.
Yeah,
they will never
exactly.
be able to do that work.
No, this I have heard from other seafarers also. You go for sailing and then you think, यार business मेरा तो चल रहा है, हम sailing कर रहे हैं. It doesn't happen. You have to be there to do the business. Yes,
and it is okay. Like if your wife is handling it, that's one thing. If you have a family business that you're working in, that's a different thing. But if you think that you will keep sailing 6-7 months a year and somebody else will handle your business, not their business.
Yeah.
Somebody will handle your business for you.
Correct. That doesn't happen. Yeah.
That does not work. So you have to be smart about the whole thing. You have to figure out who are you.
Let's talk about your
choose the partners carefully.
Yeah. Let's talk about your Shark Tank journey. How did you start? How did you plan? How did you actually get an idea that boss, we should go to Shark Tank for getting our next funding?
So we had Shark Tank. We had seen Shark Tank episodes every now and then. People had told us there was somebody in US Shark Tank selling kombucha. So all my friends would always message me, every now and then, hey, have you seen Shark Tank this episode, that season? That person is selling kombucha. That. I'm like, yeah, I've seen it all. And then when it came to India, we sort of saw it, and I thought, why not try? If at all, if we get selected, I was not very hopeful. But I was like, okay, why not try? If we get selected, great, because the product is great, the product is good. We have some numbers, we have some things, we are passionate about the business. Let's try. होएगा तो होएगा, नहीं होएगा तो नहीं होएगा. मतलब you can't. They would not come home to pick me up for sure.
Correct.
Right. Yes. So I filled a small form in August. I filled a small form, basic details. And then they emailed us in about 2-3 days and said, we need more information. You have cleared the first round. So we did more information. It needed a video that was supposed to go. So we made a pitch. I made a pitch video because my wife refused that she would not be on the camera, and she had some major work related things. So my wife is a dog trainer and a behaviorist.
Okay.
So she does trainings and all that. She had a busy day. So I remember I did all of that. At the last moment we sent it. Then we were called for an audition.
Okay.
So all these are basic information that they keep asking you about, your business, who are you, what do you do, how did you come about it, what are your products, where do you sell, how do you sell, this, that, and whatever. What do you intend to do with your business, and what will you do if you get the money, and all of those questions they keep asking you. Then they have an audition round wherein you have to meet people there, and they ask you for questions, what is the business about, the Shark Tank thing.
Okay.
And then you have to answer those questions, and if they like it, then they select you, and they have an internal process again for elimination and whatever.
Okay.
And that is how it goes. And if you're selected, then they will tell you, okay, these are the dates that we would be shooting. So are you available? And, for 4 or 5 days, you are staying with them. We stay in a hotel and you do the shooting and everything.
Okay.
They help you prepare the pitch. They listen to you. They listen to your ideas and everything. And once the shoot happens, then what happens inside the tank is what they know. We don't know what happens inside the tank. So that was about the journey. My idea was, my wife was very against it. She said, we are very new, and we may not be prepared for this. But I've learned one thing. If you get a chance to bat against Brett Lee, or whether it's Malinga, or whether it's Glenn McGraw or whoever, you take the bloody bat.
Exactly.
And you walk out in the middle. Because if you don't bat today, you might get out. You might hit a six. But if you don't go out to bat, you might never get another chance to go out there.
Very true. This is absolutely beautiful. This is the attitude you should have, anybody who is coming into the entrepreneurship journey. It is today or never. If you are not going into the war field itself, then how are you prepared for the war?
Yes, गिरते हैं घुड़सवारी मैदान जंग से, वो कुफ्र क्या गिरेगा जो घुटनों के बल चले. So if you're always going to play it safe, how you going to? I think it is very easy to be so optimistic and confident, and now at this point, although we don't really make money in the business at the moment because it's a startup and it's a tough gig.
Correct.
But I think how I am confident, and I am an extrovert and I want to do things. But I think the single biggest factor that sort of pushed me into starting my own thing was my wife.
Okay.
And people say that every successful man has a woman behind it, and whatever, it's your mother, it's whatever. But I definitely think that my wife was there to sort of support the idea. Abhi wo it hurts. So of course I can go back and blame her for pushing me into it at times. But the fact is that if it wasn't for her, and if it was a partner who would tell me, no, like, how can you leave merchant navy? How will we run the house expenses? How will I buy this? How will you go on vacation? And all of that. I probably would never be able to take that jump, that leap of faith. And I don't know, Captain Vijay, tomorrow I might not do this. I might be there. I might not be there. Who knows about life? But I know that we have changed the landscape.
True.
As it was.
True.
We have changed it. We are a force that has definitely shaped some mountains in this F&B world and whatever. And it wouldn't have happened.
I think I should clap to that. That is the spirit. You have made some change to the world where you came and you are gone. So there should be. If you've ever seen a bottle of my product, in a shelf somewhere, if you've spent 10 seconds of your life understanding what that is, or looking it, I have changed. I have, like the Avengers would say, probably I have created a ripple in the time, in the time event horizon, in the event horizon. So that is what we've done. Every time somebody is drinking a bottle of our stuff that we've done something that would have not happened if we were not doing exactly.
Right? This is how it is supposed to be.
Beautiful.
And that is why it is like this. So so you have to be. So see, again, as a sailor, you have the money, you come back, you want to do business, all that is great.
Do you think of going back to sea now?
I miss the sea, of course,
Yeah.
I miss being an engineer. My wife still complains, why do you spend so much time fixing the light bulbs and the holders and all these loose screws around the house? Why do you insist on doing it? Why can't we get someone to do it? Why do you insist on building this chair yourself and whatever, fixing these things? I'm like, babe, because I miss being an engineer.
Yeah, exactly.
I miss that feeling of going and pulling apart the whole separator and putting it back together and making it run and all of that. I miss that feeling. I miss that feeling of having that, running the engine and going to places and all of this, sweating yourself out and troubleshooting and all of these things. Yes, they're hard at that time. I wouldn't deny that. And probably if I go back sailing, I will come out complaining after 3 months of all the hard work that I've done, and this is the worst ship that I've been on. I never want to do sailing again.
Always the last ship is the worst ship,
No, like I said, that second engineer that I became, NYK Futago, was the best ship of my life, hands down. I had so much fun. Even as a first time second engineer, I had the best time of my life. The crew was amazing. The chief officer was new. He was also recently promoted. Same age group. His family was on board. My family was on board. I can't imagine of doing it better.
So it's not basically the machinery of the ship, the people on it make it. People
make all the difference. It's the people in the ship and the people in the office that make all the difference. If I'm not well, and if the company takes care of me by making sure that I get to the doctor the quickest time, and I get a vacation and whatever if I need to, and they take care of my mental health and my physical health in general.
True.
I am on the ship to work, and I will work. Why would I not work? Because I'm there for 4 months. There is nothing else for me to do anyways.
Exactly.
So it's the people on the ship who make it or break it. If the crew is good, you can work 18 hours and not complain. And if the crew is not good, you can work for 8 hours a day and still come out feeling, why am I here?
Correct.
So it's not about that,
Is your COC valid?
My COC is expired. I was hoping to. So what happened was, actually, I would have gotten everything in order. But the thing is, after I was giving my chief engineer's ticket, I thought I will finish my ticket and go. But then COVID happened soon after. Like in 2019, I thought, okay, let's wait for a little while. My COC was valid till October 2019 or something.
Okay.
And then I said, okay, let me give the exam again. And then, the business started picking up at that time. So I said, okay, whatever, we'll give exams still. And then the COVID came, and then they were only renewing it for 6 months. And there was so many things to do. I'm like, never mind. And honestly, there was one more thing that I was worried about. You get a taste of life at home. You don't want to go back.
Exactly.
Because of all the good things you will miss. Plus, although we spend a lot of money on food on the ship, like that is a big budget.
Yeah.
But the quality of food that you get on the ship, right?
Yeah.
Is never as good as the money that you're paying for.
True.
Paying for it. So at home, now I realize my problems, my health issues and whatever. And food is medicine. So we try and eat organic food, like I mentioned, all organic food, organic oil, organic this, organic that, at least 90% organic. Beautiful. But when you go on the ship, there is no control over those things.
Yeah, correct.
And I think that's a big problem.
Yeah.
For like the meat is like frozen, right? And the spices and everything, you get what you get, and oils and everything, you forget organic. If you just get decent quality, which is not expired, is I think good enough. But that's how it is. So I think that's another thing that really makes me think, do I want to trade this for that? I would go back if I could, but I think I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now, and that was a phase of my life that I'm really proud of, and I always introduce myself as a marine engineer. Okay, that is always a part of me and has taught me so much.
A seafarer is always a seafarer,
Yes, and I'm in the community. I can walk in any room with seafarers, and I can hold my ground in terms of knowledge and in terms of understanding things. So that's okay. But yes, being on the ship, I miss sometimes when people talk about beaches and boat rides and cruises, and I'm like, guys, like I don't know, I've been to like amazing places. I don't know if this is really worth it. Like going from Bombay to Alibag in a ferry, does that count as does that count as cruising? I don't know, but I definitely would want to go back. But I don't see how. I don't see that happening anywhere. But again, I didn't see this happening as well. So never say never, and enjoy what you're doing. I think that's the only thing. Whatever if you're sailing, enjoy. I want to go back, but like I said, the business cannot run itself. Exactly. At least at this point. Exactly. So perhaps one day when the business is a little more set up and everything, and I have some good managers which I can count on, then probably I want to look at sailing again, because that's definitely a part of me. I like to get my hands dirty. Excellent. So there is no way about it. Nothing better than fixing an exhaust valve and coming back and writing the report and closing the job down in RDRM. There is nothing better than that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's
what's your future for Mavi now?
So we are looking at collaborating with a lot of new cafes and restaurants. We are working with them. Also, we are trying to build a small team so that we can do things better. We are, I think it's more education and awareness about the product, about the category itself that needs. I think sailor community is a big community that I want to target in future as well, because these people are the people who do not take care of their health as much as they should.
Exactly.
Because they have no control over the food that is being served on the ship.
Correct.
They have no control over the food that goes into their table at home, because they're never home. So somebody else takes the decision mostly. है ना? जो बच्चे खाते हैं, बीवी खाती है, वही खाते हैं, है ना? या फिर बाहर खाते हैं. And stuff like that. So like and with our beverages, with our components, we can provide a really good solution or an alternative to alcohol and beer and all of that. And these are healthy. So I think that's something that we want to do.
Beautiful.
Make more people aware of this and see how that business grows. It has to grow organically.
Excellent.
The thing I'm most proud of about my brand is that we are an honest brand. I was honest about when I worked in the ship, and I'm honest about the product now that we do. We would not lie to people. We would not tell them that we have not added any sugar or not did this or not did that or this is the best thing that you can have.
Correct.
The product is what it is. You use it, you feel what you feel. I cannot tell you how to feel. That is not fair. So so that's why it takes a little time, because if you don't do the whole marketing gimmick and don't throw around the fancy words, but that's how it is. I'm okay with that.
Okay, quickly, last question. What is Merchant Navy for you?
Merchant Navy is a great platform to learn and to earn money, also to see the world for sure. I have been to places that most people would only imagine to go, right? To learn, to travel, to sort of grow personally, okay? And also to make a very decent salary, which if you are smart about it, you can save a lot of it and work on your passion projects thereafter. So at the age of 20, 22, you start working and you work on the ship for about 10, 12, 15 years. By the time you're 35, you have maybe 1, 2, 3 or maybe 4 crores in your bank account if you have done it wisely, or assets worth that, and then you can spend. That's your seed funding right there in your and plus you have seed funding plus enough to sustain you for at least good 10 years right there, right? And the money will grow. If you've already invested, it will keep growing.
Beautiful.
So that is something that you have to be smart about. I think that's what Merchant Navy to me is about. A great platform to learn, grow and prosper.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We have long past short our dedicated timing. So it was so interesting, so engrossing. I just didn't realize the time how it went by. So is there anything you want to tell which I missed to ask you and you thought I should have asked and you should have told?
No, I think we cleared pretty much everything. I think people had a very wrong notion of Merchant Navy being a very fancy job. Yes, it is fancy because you get to travel, but yes, it also keeps you away from the family. But again, you are compensated by a very good salary. And that is how my today I'm here 4 years in Bombay, still trying to make it work. If I was anywhere else, I would have probably quit and gone home by now. So Merchant Navy definitely helps. So that people have to remember. And it's not true that only people who can't get anywhere get into Merchant Navy, because like I said, A graders, straight A graders, 90% people who get 90% in boards also come to Merchant Navy, because there is so much to learn and so much to actually work with. You can be a real engineer. Only on the ship is the place where you get to be a real engineer. There is nowhere else.
Thank you so much, Vikram. Thank you so much for your time. You have taken out.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you would have got so many missed calls and so many people waiting. So thank you so much for your time, and we will surely catch up, and I will surely try kombucha and give back your feedback. Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye bye.